So I want to take a quick minute to show my Richie Kotzen Telecaster that I modified a couple years ago. I kind of want to take this thing and turn it into a SuperTele, kind of get as much out of it as I can. I do praise and worship for a local church, and so some of these modifications keep me from having to take multiple guitars and having to do a bunch of tap dancing up on stage. So I don't know if I'd recommend these for every Telecaster you come across, but this one is already kind of off the beaten trail as far as a purist Telecaster goes, and so I just kind of wanted to see what all mods I could do to this thing to make it as versatile as possible. It has a single coil in the neck position, and that's a twang king, and then the chopper T in the bridge position, which is a rails humbucker. And so this thing kind of does a little bit of both. If you ever heard any Richie Kotzen stuff, he's a great guitar player. A lot more gritty kind of sounds he gets out of this thing. The guitar does have a huge neck on it, which is something you'll hear across pretty much every review. It's kind of a baseball bat of a neck. Okay, real quick to go through the modifications I made. I added locking tuners, mainly for switching out strings, and then I added a vintage string tree up top just because I like the look of them. For the control mods, which are the main ones I want to go over, I swapped the whole control plate around end for end so I could do the volume swells a little easier, having the volume knob up top. That is an S1 switch built into that pot. It goes from series to parallel to series when you push it down. The tone knob in the original configuration, it did not have a tone knob, or tone pot, so that was a rotary switch that went from series to parallel series, which was nice. I like the functionality of it. I moved it to the volume, the S1 switch, so I kept that functionality, but then added the tone potentiometer in there. That's a 500 kilo ohm CTS pot that's push pull, and it splits the humbucker, the rails humbucker. So you can still get a little more of that, like, it's a lot quieter, but you can do the country stuff with the Tele. I kind of wanted to see if we could keep that functionality in there. In between, I did have to cut a new hole to put the out of phase position, and all that does is switch polarities on the neck position. And then after that, it's just a three-way toggle switch for the different pickup selectors. So that's pretty much it. All right, for the sound samples, I'm running through from my Richie Kotzen into my Helix, and from there I'm trying to do something kind of halfway clean and halfway dirty, just because some of the different modifications do have series where it pushes the amp a little harder. So I've got a train wreck amp set up, pretty much in the clean position. Every sound you hear is going to be the same volume, so any volume changes you hear are from whatever the modification is. If it's splitting the coil, that's the volume drop in it. Same thing if it goes from parallel to series, you're going to hear a volume boost. And so those are kind of the things you're going to hear throughout the sound samples, and hope you enjoy. Okay, so here's the full wiring layout for the whole thing. I'll go through it step by step and kind of make some pointers that I wish I would have known when I did this the first time. Just kind of an overview here. Anything shown kind of as a squiggly line is what you're actually going to have to wire in. Any of those straight lines are going to be the internals of the switch, so you can kind of keep track of what's going on throughout the circuit. Obviously, for general layout, I have my volume at the top. That 250 kilo ohm pot is an S1 switch. So you push down, push up, push it again, it pops back up. That middle position is your out of phase switch. For me, it's just a throw switch. The third one down is your volume or your tone potentiometer. For me, that was a 500 kilo ohm, and it's push pull. And the last one down there is my three-way switch. And like I said, mine's inverted, so my volume's at the top, switch is at the bottom. And then my single coil in the neck position and humbuckers in the bridge. So kind of starting from scratch, like I said, these straight lines here show the internal wirings of the actual switches themselves. And so blue is your up position, green is going to be your down position in any of these switches. And so you can kind of keep track of what's going on. If you need to troubleshoot, that's a good way of kind of tracing your signal. I would recommend, especially if you need to troubleshoot on this, is actually get out a whiteboard or something like that and trace through each of these and see where your signal's running, because chances are you have something that's functionally, that's a good way to kind of see what's going on. So like I said, if I were to wire this again, I would do it each component, just do the wires on the component first. That said, you'll want to make sure you have room if another wire needs to go into whatever position, that you left enough. Say if you have an eyelet or something where it's a hole, you don't want to cover the hole basically with solder. If you need to put another wire in there further down the process. And so, like I said, this is wiring up the tone potentiometer. I'm just going to show the symbols for ground on there. You'll have a common grounding point that you need to wire back to your output jack. but I'm not going to show that. It just kind of makes it way too convoluted on this schematic. So I used a 0.047 microfarad cap, just an orange drop. It did make it really dark, so that would be something you might want to experiment with. It's not, if you want to, you can just clip in capacitors and try them out. You don't have to wire it in at this point, but another point I wanted to make was on that out of phase position. There are two different ways to wire an out of phase switch, so you can use either one, but ultimately all you're doing is you're going to switch the positive and negative that's coming out of your neck position. Okay, so here is basically the volume coming out of your volume potentiometer into your switch and then connecting to your tone knob. I think I did also wire in here the out of phase position that's going to go to your pickup selector. And now we're getting into where we're actually wiring up the pickups themselves. And one thing I wanted to note on here, like I said, there's two different ways to kind of do an out of phase switch like I'm showing here. If you have a pickup cover on your pickup that you're doing the out of phase with, you will need to decouple it, which means that if it's a metal one, you'll have a wire that's soldered to possibly one of the leads on your neck pickup. You'll want to take that and cut it and actually separately run a wire to another ground. And the reason for that is normally they know which one is going to be the positive and the negative. And you don't want your pickup cover to be part of the coil, basically. And so the reason for that is it can be microphonic. There can be, you don't basically want to quote unquote energize the pickup cover. So that is one thing you'll need to do. Like I said, I'm only showing the two wires here, but you would have a third wire that would go to ground in that situation. Another thing here on the bridge position is you can pick and choose which one of those, coils you want to do. I think I did the top one, but I think you could do the bottom one as well. You just need to know which one's the positive and negative wire coming out of your coils. I'm showing DiMarzio pickups here for the coloring scheme, but you can look up different ones for Seymour. Just make sure you know which ones are positive and negative for each coil. The way the push-pull works for the split coil is it basically just takes one of the coils and sends it straight to ground. And that's where I was saying you could do the resistor. You can throw a resistor in there to let some of that coil still stay in your signal. It reduces the volume drop and also doesn't make it just, I said, it still fills it out. You can experiment with different resistors there. I've done that on a different guitar and kind of liked it. It doesn't change the sound nearly as much, but like I said, try out different resistors. If you don't like it, you can just go straight to ground. And so here's kind of the last step in the wiring diagram is wiring up that S1 switch, which is handling your series and parallel back to your controls. Your precision controls are at the bottom. That kind of gives you that boost if you want to. Like I said, I think it sounds really good with the out of phase in series. You can do a lot of fuzz kind of stuff with there, but yeah, that's kind of the whole wiring diagram. It makes for a really versatile tele, in my opinion. And yeah, if you want to give it a try, here's the whole thing. If you need any of these diagrams, I can send them to you. Just kind of let me know. All right, have fun.